Good morning and welcome to MHQ's 8 Step to Growth, where today we are looking at governance. Why governance? Well, over the years, your business has grown and evolved, but how much focus have you actually allocated to maintaining good governance? Chances are not enough. So thinking of raising finance or opening up your shareholding to third parties, documenting your internal decision-making process and relationship with stakeholders are absolute must and will impact the way third parties will value your business. So if you have neglected your company statutory compliance responsibilities, it is now time to remediate and get back on track, and we will show you how. For that, I have Kat Zagati, partner at MHQ, with me. Good morning, Kat.
Good morning.
And my question to you is, what are these main compliance obligations that every entrepreneur should be aware of?
Yes. So aside from the standard ongoing compliance requirements like annual license renewal and maintenance of accounting records, the UAE introduced two important federal regulations which have a direct impact on corporate governance and ongoing compliance obligations of UAE entities. The first one is the Economic Substance Regulations, or ESR, and the second is the Ultimate Beneficial Ownership Regulations, or the UBO regulations. So with respect to ESR, all entities deploying a relevant activity must be able to demonstrate that they have effective substance in the UAE by satisfying the so-called economic substance test. And then you're going to ask me, but how can the company satisfy this test?
I was about to.
So here are the three requirements for that. The first one is that the company must be directed and managed in the UAE. The second is that the company must have adequate people, premises, and expenditures in the UAE. And the third and last requirement is that the company must carry out the income generating activity, or SIGA, also in the UAE. So this means that any entity carrying out a relevant activity is not only expected to implement, but also to maintain a robust corporate governance framework so that this company will be able to comply with these ESR requirements. So this was for ESR. Now, talking about UBO regulations. These regulations also came to reinforce the need for a robust corporate governance framework here in the UAE. In line with these regulations, we know that companies must now maintain a shareholders register, a beneficial owners register, and a nominee directors register, if any. So as you could see, good corporate governance, of course, among other requirements, will ensure that the entity will be compliant with both ESR and UBO regulations, and we will also avoid the application of penalties for failing to comply with these ongoing compliance obligations of the company.
So what is interesting is that it becomes increasingly easy to renew the license of a company. It can be done through a telephone these days, but at the same time, the numbers of ongoing annual compliance obligation, you didn't even mention VAT, but ESR, the DIS filing, now audit is applied more widely. So there's quite a lot of there for entrepreneurs to be aware of. So of course, they are focusing on their business first and foremost. What if they do not have time to spend on these, let's be frank, rather administrative tasks?
Yeah, well, this will not be a problem at all. So corporate governance tasks can easily be outsourced to a service provider also located in the UAE.
And what would be a third-party service provider doing in that case, specific?
So there are many services that can be provided in order to ensure a good corporate governance. Following a governance health check, a typical outsourcing mandate would consist of, for instance, attendance to meetings as ad hoc secretary and drafting of the minutes of meetings on behalf of the directors of the company, maintenance of company's register and minute books, corporate secretarial alert, arranging for filing of companies' financial statements, ESR support, which can comprise submission of notification as well as submission of the economic substance report, as the case may be, and also acting as UAE resident non-executive director and registered secretary of the company.
And I know that you and your team have been very busy for the past 18 months in this space with budget figures being much higher. And interestingly, it's not the people that we thought would be. It's mostly domestic businesses with 1, 2, 3 companies to which you can provide a bulk proposal for all these services, because there's only so much time one can allocate to growing and managing a business. And clearly there is value in outsourcing these tasks to people that know how to do it. So now people know. If you have any questions on assessing your governance obligation, undertaking a health check, trying to do slightly better, because yes, it adds value and people will look into it. If you want to finance, refinance, or sell your business, then you have only one person to call. Kat Zagati is here to assist. And for us, we'll see each other next week to talk about the final topic of our MHQ's 8 Step to Growth. Kat Zagati, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.